Number 9. Number 9. This one is the study that I alluded to earlier, the $15,000 study, that the City Council essentially spent $15,000 to obtain an outside consultant's report. And my understanding is that that report, the consultant prepared that report and delivered it to the city staff, and now it is being editorialized by the city staff, and it's going back and forth. And it seems to me that if the City Council wanted the city staff's opinion, the City Council would not have spent $15,000 to get this report. And so my request is that the City Council have the unadulterated report from this consultant, and I'm wondering if that's possible.
Well, I think you're asking a fundamental question here about good staff work. I believe that it's staff's duty to make sure that anything that comes before the council in the way of staff work, whether it's done internally or whether it's done by external consultants, is accurate, has correct spelling in it, meets the objectives of what the council asked for in the scope of services. And those are some of the flaws that are in this initial report that we're correcting. We're not changing the recommendation. We're not changing the fundamental content. We're making it into a top quality professional report of the standard that I insist on before it gets turned over to council. Pure and simple. There's nothing devious going on here.
Well, there are two things. The first is, and I appreciate the description of what changes are occurring, but one of the things that would be helpful is if in fact the work product of the consultant required staff time to get it up to a professional level, then that would be helpful, valuable to know, because then maybe the City Council would not choose that particular consultant. So if it's in fact made better through the staff work, and then we say, oh, well, this work was great, let's hire them again, that would be a mistake.
Yeah, I don't think that's genuine. I think we should see the product as presented by the consultant, and then if the staff has comments, they could submit those comments and suggest the changes. But if we don't see the direct work of the consultant, then we don't have any real idea of what level of professionalism they're operating on.
Well, the report's almost done. We're about to turn it over to the various committees. I think you'll have an opportunity to review it very shortly here. And if you're not satisfied with the work product, or if you're not satisfied with the content or the recommendations, then the various committees that are going to comment on it, and then ultimately the council that will receive it, can ask for changes to be made to the report.
But for the future, can we get the genuine staff report from whatever report we pay to have done, and then if you want to make, a separate sheet where you make comments about it, that's appropriate. But I just think,
Well,
yeah,
I
guess we
don't
could,
agree with that. I don't need to do that.
I guess we could do that, but I mean, that's part of what you pay staff to do, is to do staff work. That's staff work.
There's a concern that staff might, well, the question was raised is that staff is editing the work of the consultants, and Patrick says absolutely we are, in terms of the professional quality of the job, not the recommendations that are being made. And so I don't need to see the initial report that comes from the consultant. I mean, I've worked with this staff for a very long time, and I don't think they've ever hidden the ball or played games where they massage an outside consultant's report so that it becomes something other than it was.
Well,
I do think it's a good idea, however, if in staff's communications with the council, in the staff report that ultimately accomplishes, or that accompanies it, that if the quality of work that came from the consultant was lacking in some areas and required more staff time than should have been reasonable, I think it's good to let us know that. That solves that problem about about whether we want to hire him in the future.
But it's not a genuine work if it's got the name of the consultant on it, it's not a genuine work product once it's altered in any way. I mean, it's almost like, it's,
Why don't we do this? There's only 4 of us here tonight, and why don't we put this, whether we want in the future consultants' reports to come unabridged directly to council, or whether we're willing to let them be vetted through the process that currently goes on. Why don't we put that on for a future agenda item to be discussed?
I don't need that, I don't need that policy discussion. I just want this particular report to see the quality so that I can decide
Okay.
whether this particular consultant should be hired again, because this is a pedestrian bicycle firm, and there are a lot of pedestrian bicycle projects. I would like to say, hey, this guy did a good job, let's hire him again. So,
Okay.
What
Well,
is
but
the
Ken
problem here?
Ken broadened.
This is raw data, and anything that the city pays for is certainly can be, looked at by any member of the city council. Is anyone suggesting that's not true?
No, what Patrick has, the point, Patrick, in your absence, Mayor, is that staff does what they consider to be good staff work, and when they get a report that's got misspellings and things are disorganized and things aren't, and the scope hasn't covered what they said, then they go back and work it among themselves before it goes out to the committees. And John just expressed some concern about that
Do
process.
you have a
And-
specific,
Well, listen, why don't we solve this in this case, since, John, you're saying that your scope isn't all these reports in general? Why don't you just give John a
no,
copy of
I'm
the
not
original
interested
report?
in do not want to review us, I just want this.
No, I'm just saying, my suggestion is just give him this one. Let's
and
move
what
on.
would
Let's
be
go
the
home.
objection to that?
That's fine. I don't have the original. I threw mine out because, we're doing another draft, but we'll see if the consultant still has it.
The
If he
consultant
does,
would
we'll
have
give
it,
to you.
sure.
They surely would have it in their computer. Okay. Department head.